Okay, and the last question that that I recognize as a question that often comes my way is which enzymes or mixture of enzymes is best for digestion, and if you're using collagenase, which type and concentration work the best? So they're essentially kind of similar questions. Again, I would probably point the viewers to the paper published in 2016. There we've listed the recipe effectively. We've used a combination of collagenase 2 and 4 and protease 14. And the final concentrations are listed in the paper, but effectively you're looking at 0.5 mg per ml of collagenase 2 and 4 mixture. And we've also listed the activity of the collagenase. So that's actually an important consideration. We buy the collagenase from Worthington Biochemicals, and the activity in this case that was used was approximately 210 units per mg and 260 units per mg respectively for collagenases 2 and 4. I should probably just mention that we have also subsequently done experiment using libraries, which is obviously an enzyme mixture which a lot of people are using nowadays. And we found that approximately 25 micrograms per mil of libraries was giving us an effective digestion of the heart. So, but probably every time you what I would emphasize is that every time you buy a collagenase, it will have a different lot number, and probably just do some playing around with it, seeing the concentration that you want to give, the time that you want to give. And then once you do that, then obviously keep repeating that process all the time. Stick to that concentration and the time of perfusion, because every lot will have a slightly different activity and purity probably. And a couple of other points that I thought are probably important to bring up is that the collagenase and protease mixture of the enzymes should be added to the buffer just before the isolation, and also make sure that collagenase buffer is warmed immediately before the isolation procedure to 37 degrees. So all these things should help you achieve a better and more reliable isolation of cardiac myocytes. So again, I would like to invite Matt and Ronglih to comment on any of this.
I'll go first. I just have to say that this enzyme mixture, we can't really take personal credit because this is, again, one of those things which many other researchers that came before us have worked towards. And so we really based things like this on work that's been done by other groups and just applied this to our own protocol. And this was one of the particular mixtures which worked well in our hands. The different activities of collagenase is something which I think it's worth keeping in mind, although I would say, and I know that some groups are much more careful about these things, but we have, since starting this protocol, really maybe going back 3 years now, we've had various lots of different collagenases with various different activities, and we have stuck really to the same concentration of 0.5 mg per mil in each case. And we have never really found that we've needed to adjust that yet anyway. It might be the case that if you have a more active collagenase, you'll find that your digestion is done more quickly. But as far as specifically, for example, adjusting the amount of collagenase 2 or 4 that we add, based on the specific activities, we haven't ourselves found it necessary to do that yet.
So I think you mentioned collagenase was not differ lot to lot. That's actually very interesting. So you're very lucky. In our hand, we actually know that quite a bit lot to lot differences. It's not means they cannot be used, but you have to modify your times and sometimes concentration as well. So what we typically do is before we order the whole batch, company give us the trial portions. And so we will try different lots, and we find one which is a similar, time frames and whatever with our current one. And then we will reserve the whole lot from the company. So basically then, within those time, because when laboratory, it's active doing this all day long. So it's very easy to run through those collagenase. So we would typically reserve the whole lot. So at least they give us the consistency throughout quite a bit certain periods. And then once we know our stock is short, we start getting more sample of collagenase from the newer lots and to test. And then find good one, again, we reserve it again. So, but again, could be related to in the laboratory to laboratory, how often you isolate cell. It's this, realistic financial wise to reserve the whole lot. But in our hand, we do see lot to lot differences.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, Librace is sort of changing that because it's supposed to be far more reproducible in terms of purity and activity. But having said that, as Matt said, I think that we, at least ourselves, we've achieved very good reproducibility with this particular mixture of collagenase 2 and 4. Mind you, we have, in Birmingham at least, we have not changed the activity that much, really. Maybe from 210 to 300, so they weren't massively different. But it is definitely a consideration, I would say, if you're using collagenases 2 and 4. And I hear that from many others, particularly who are using Langendorf isolation protocols.
It might again be dependent on what you want to do with the cells afterwards. So if it's just a case of harvesting for DNA and RNA, for example, and not doing functional studies, maybe this kind of thing is less important to you. But if you want to do patch clamping, for example, then I suspect that things like this might become much more relevant. Ronglih, when you say that you test batches of different collagenase, what tests do you actually do? Are you just looking at myocyte yield, or do you actually do functional tests as well?
We do myocyte yield because that's the quickest one. So seeing, if we're using the same concentration, same method we do we see the differences or not?
I see, okay.
We did not go through the functional test.
Yes, and Matt, I can sort of say that that's kind of what we did as well when we use Langendorf. So we just tend to use the yield as a means of testing the collagenase activity and its usage and its use for us.
And also visually, we always examine the cell shape and striation, that type of things. So it's the yield, and you can see the cell shape.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe we've just been lucky then, because I think I don't think our collagenase activity has really gone above 300 to my memory. The different lots that we've used, and anything within that range, when I look just at myocyte yield or morphology, I haven't noticed too much difference, to be honest, when I've even just keeping the 0.5 mg per mil constant. And so I wondered if the difference would be more in function, which we haven't actually looked at so closely.
So maybe we need to order the reagent from, not from United States, because I think some of those, those companies sell that, they are also outsourcing people to generate it. And different location, country particularly, they may using a different resource to get their reagent. And so I don't think that's something right now we know, because our collagenase even order from the same company, since we in complete different regions in the US versus in Europe. I don't know whether it's the same source, and then maybe make those differences as well. So that usually depends on location, right? They outsourcing their products all over the place. Maybe all from China, who knows?
Possibly. Right. Well, I mean, I think unless there are other comments on this, I would just like to again thank Ronglih and to Matt as well, and obviously to Liam as well for hosting us. And it really has been a pleasure.
Feeling is mutual. I echo that. Thanks to everyone.
Agreed. Thank you so much.